Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Because I am fantastic. And that's because the summer is almost over and I live with this comfortable knowledge that in a few short months everything is going to wither away and it's going to be cold and depressing. That however isn't the point of this video. Do you know this man? This man was wrong. And he was wrong because steam engines suck. I know, not cycling related, but it actually is, so bear with me, it's going to be fun. So you have all seen them, the magnificent steam engines as they choo-choo around. What you have also seen is a mysterious lack of them in revenue service on just about any modern railroad. Why is that? Is it the smoke? Is it the size? Is it the weight? None of those things actually, because all of those are manageable. In order to understand why there aren't any steam engines on modern railroads, let's go through how a steam engine works internally. Here we have a firebox, with coal making Greta cry. This happens deep within a sheet of water closed in a pressurized container called a boiler. As the water heats up, it changes into steam, and that steam wants to expand. But it can't because it's pressurized, so instead it collects on the top of the sheet of water in the boiler, and the pressure within the entire vessel rises to a certain, value. After a while we have quite some of pressurized gas, so it's time to do something with it. Let's take a pipe from the top and route it to a cylinder with a piston. Let's add a valve in the middle of our pipe so we can open and close it and direct the steam either to the front or the rear of the piston. So now, open the valve on the left, a piston moves to the right and vice versa. There's also a valve on the other side of our cylinder that allows the used up steam to exhaust from the cylinder. Pretty easy really. So now we have a steady supply of steam from the boiler and we can move a piston fore and aft. We need now some linkage to rotate stuff around and voila, we have a self-propelled wheeled vehicle. Do you see the issue? No? So let me explain. Work is a measure of stuff being done. Power is a measure of how fast things get done. In our machine, work is performed when a puff of steam is pushing against the piston, or more specifically, when the piston expands within the cylinder. That, however, is tied literally to the speed of our vehicle. One fore-aft cycle of the piston is one wheel rotation, so the faster we go, the more power we get of our machine, up to the boiler's capacity of producing steam. That works when we're going pretty fast, but what happens if we need to do a ton of work but at a very, very low speed? Steam locomotive, by its very nature, can exert power only when moving. Less speed leads to less puffs against the pistons. Less puffs, less power. This shortcoming of the machine was instinctively understood in its heyday and is the reason why there are so many steam locomotive designs. If you wanted something fast, it had to have very large drive wheels. If you wanted something strong and going slowly, it would have multitude of very small wheels. But of course you can now ask, why not just have teeny tiny wheels and spin them really fast? In that manner, even when going slow, they are going to be spinning pretty fast, so win-win, right? Well, before I give you the correct answer, I would like you to first start another tab with YouTube, search for Kylie Minogue Locomotion, that's a music video. Set the playback speed to double and try to follow the dance moves. Back already? Now that you look like a total tool, you should also understand why there is a limit of how fast you can spin those connecting rods. Simply put, rocking stuff fore and aft takes energy. There are a lot of connecting rods being rocked on your typical steam engine, and they are literally bars of solid metal. Moving those rods too fast causes wear, strains the vehicle and makes it run unstably. On top of that, steam has a finite speed of expansion within a cylinder, and if you're going to expand it too fast, you're simply going to lose energy. In short, that, in conjunction with the connecting rod issue, tells you that there is a finite speed of how many cycles per second you can get out of your typical steam engines. Existing designs were actually scratching that limit pretty hard. But, what does all of this has to do with cycling? Human on a bicycle is a parallel to a steam locomotive, don't believe me? Human engine takes fuel through a single orifice along with oxygen, just like a steam engine. Fuel gets converted through a series of chemical reactions, which are essentially burning, to produce mechanical effort, just like a steam engine. Humans carry significant amount of fuel on them in a form of glycogen and fat. This is an equivalent of a tender. You know, that little wagon steam engines carry around everywhere, which is for all intents and purposes kind of like fat, dead weight. Humans produce carbon dioxide as a byproduct of energy production, just like steam engine. Humans produce power in pulses, just like steam engine. In order to convert those pulses to rotating movement of wheels, connecting rods are required, in a form of legs, just like in a steam engine. The parallel ends with a single component that is present on 99% of modern bicycles, and which is this, a gearbox. Without going into too much railhead foamery, the one crucial component that is missing on a steam locomotive is a gearbox. In cycling terms, steam locomotives are single speeds, or even more, they are fixed gears. You tailor their use by changing their primary gear ratio. On a bicycle, you would do it by changing the sizes of the cogs and chainrings. On a steam locomotive, you do it by changing the size of the driving wheels. Having a low-geared single speed, starting is easy, climbing is easier, but high speed suffers because you can't just spin those wheels that fast. This is a typical freight steam engine. Having a high-geared single speed, starting is hard, climbing is hard, but your maximum speed potential is much higher. This is your typical express steam engine. Which brings me to a final point. Henry Lagrange was wrong. He famously said, "I still feel that variable gears are only for people over 45. Isn't it better to triumph by the strength of one's muscles than the artifice of a derailleur? We are getting soft. As for me, give me a fixed gear." He was incorrect. Pure physics says that going somewhere faster requires more power. It takes being more of a man to push yourself for hours at your maximum power level. Riding a fixed gear or a single speed uphill might seem more difficult, but you are going slower than you would otherwise, which means that you exert yourself less. Just about any modern wheeled vehicle has a gearbox, one that allows it to apply full power or close to full power of its engine pretty much from a standstill to a sensible top speed. Bicycles are no exception, yet it took 11-speed cassettes for even the most fundamentalist roadies to accept that 32 pie-plate cog on their bicycle might be actually necessary. But still you will find some lovely people snickering about a 1:1 ratio, Lamau. Thinking otherwise is a common misconception, but gears don't allow for anything. Gears are not a magical bullet that will make one go from zero to hero. For that you need proper drugs and quite a bit of training. Gears are an effort management system. They allow an engine, humans included, to produce its maximum power output regardless of the type of work the engine is being engaged in doing. Gearing used properly makes the engine work harder. Locomotives with electrical or hydraulic transmission took railroads by storm because they had a gearbox. In the first case, it is an electrical one. In the second case, it's hydraulic. Such allowed the power plant to pretty much always output maximum power regardless of the vehicle speed. That immensely and positively impacted railroads' operation, and in comparison to that, steam locomotives just suck. And this is the end of this video, and if you are here and you are listening to this, I kneel and you are my hero. There is nothing but self-promotion after this point. However, if you think this channel is worthy of growing, consider sharing this video around. If you think this channel is worthy of your further attention, consider subscribing, and I would really love if you like this video. And regardless of anything, thank you for your undivided attention, and I hope to see you on the next one.